Here's a question you probably never expected to hear today. Can I shove this up your butt? Yeah, that one line pretty much sums up how badly everything went wrong. You know that moment when you realize you messed up so spectacularly that there's absolutely no fixing it? Now, take that feeling, multiply it by 1,000, add 9 months inside a Filipino prison, and you'll understand Vitali's current reality. Because this man just found out he's being deported to Russia, and there's a very real chance he'll never step foot in the United States again. We're talking about someone who once pulled millions of views from shock pranks and viral chaos, now turned into a global example of a very simple rule. The more you mess around, the more you're going to find out. Honestly, it's a miracle he's even alive after where he's spent the last 9 months. So let's break down this insane update in the Vitali saga, and why his career is basically finished before he even lands in Moscow. If you somehow missed this absolute disaster of story, here's the quick recap. Back in April of last year, Vitali decided it would be a great idea to fly to the Philippines and do what he's always done, harass random people for content. The problem? This time, he chose the wrong country. He was out there stealing police motorcycles, snatching security guards' hats, wrestling armed officers, and acting like laws simply didn't apply to him. At one point, he even threatened to rob an elderly woman on camera, apparently thinking that counted as comedy. But here's where he made his biggest mistake. He assumed the Philippines would treat him like everywhere else. Maybe a fine, a slap on the wrist, then on to the next country. Instead, the Philippines decided to make an example out of him. Enter Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Ramallah. One look at Vitali's behavior, and the message was clear: absolutely not. This wasn't getting brushed off. Rather than immediately deporting him, they let him experience the full reality of the Filipino prison system. And by hospitality, I mean the exact opposite. Overcrowded cells packed like sardines. No air conditioning in a tropical climate. Food that costs about $1 a day. Conditions so brutal that Vitali went from looking like a semi-fit YouTuber to someone who appeared like he'd been living in a cave for a year. And the wildest part? He did it to himself. During his first court appearance, instead of showing remorse, he mocked the entire justice system, laughing, cracking jokes, even applauding himself when footage of his crimes was shown in court. Imagine being in a foreign country, facing serious charges, and treating it like live stream content. That's not confidence, that's stupidity. And the Filipino government made sure he learned the difference over the next 9 months. Fast forward to about a week ago, when the first real update finally dropped. The transformation was shocking. The clean-cut prankster was gone. In his place was a man with shoulder-length hair, a full beard, and eyes that clearly showed he'd seen things. The kind of look you get after being locked in a cell with too many people and replaying every bad decision you've ever made. But then came the real twist. Just yesterday, Ramallah held another press conference, this time to announce Vitali's deportation. Sounds like good news, right? Not exactly. Vitali isn't being sent back to the United States. Despite having a green card, despite living there for years, despite his mother and entire life being based there, he's being deported to Russia. Why? Because legally, he's a Russian citizen. That's where his passport is from. And both the US and Russia made it clear months ago they weren't eager to claim him. America essentially said, green card or not our problem. Russia's response was simple: follow the laws of the country you're in, or deal with the consequences. So Vitali became an international hot potato, stuck in a Filipino prison with nowhere to go. And now that he's being released, he's heading to a country where he has no real connections, no support system, and almost no future for the career he built. Because let's talk about content creation in Russia. YouTube monetization? Gone since 2022. Instagram and Facebook? Completely blocked. TikTok? Live streaming? Not allowed. On top of that, strict censorship laws dictate what you can and can't show on camera. Everything that made Vitali's content work, the shock value, public pranks, controversy, is either heavily restricted or outright banned. Even if he keeps making content, he won't be making money. And every upload comes with the risk of another arrest. Let's be honest. If he couldn't follow the rules in the Philippines, What makes anyone think he'll suddenly behave in Russia? And it gets worse. Even if he somehow adapts, there's a strong chance he'll never return to the United States. Deportation for criminal activity, especially after serving 9 months in prison, doesn't just disappear. It stays on your record. And green cards can absolutely be revoked for behavior like this. An international incident ending in jail time? That's more than enough reason. So imagine landing in Moscow with no plan, no income, no audience, and no way back to the country where your entire life was built. Again, the more you mess around, the more you find out. And honestly, I don't feel bad for him. This was all avoidable. No one forced him to go to the Philippines. No one forced him to harass people, steal from police, or mock a foreign justice system. He made those choices himself. This is what happens when you build a career on being a public nuisance and thinking you're untouchable. Eventually, you run into a situation where no one cares about your views or subscribers, only that you broke their laws and disrespected their country. The Filipino government handled this perfectly. They didn't let him buy his way out. They didn't rush him home. They made him sit with the consequences for 9 months. And now they're sending him somewhere that makes continuing his old life nearly impossible. That's not cruelty. That's accountability. During the press conference, Romualdez said they hold no grudges. Vitaly served his time, showed remorse, and is free to go. But let's be real. That remorse probably showed up about 6 months in, when he realized this wasn't blowing over. Because if you look at his face now, that's not someone excited for the future. That's someone who just realized he destroyed his entire life for content people forgot about weeks later. That's how Vitaly found out he's never coming back to America. Not with drama, not with fireworks, but through a press conference in a language he probably doesn't understand, officially closing the door on his old life. So what do you think? Did Vitaly get exactly what he deserved? Or did the Philippines go too far? Vitaly's story is a perfect example of how fast internet fame can collapse. Once known for pulling millions of views through shocking pranks, he's now facing the consequences of pushing boundaries too far. After traveling to the Philippines last year, Vitaly harassed people, stole police property, mocked officers, and treated a foreign country like a content playground. Instead of getting away with it, he was arrested and spent 9 brutal months inside a Filipino prison. What made things worse was his own attitude. During court appearances, Vitaly laughed, joked, and mocked the justice system, acting as if it were all just another stream. That mistake cost him dearly. The Filipino government decided to make an example out of him, forcing him to serve real time under harsh prison conditions that completely changed him, physically and mentally. Now, instead of being sent back to the United States where he lived on a green card, Vitaly is being deported to Russia, the country of his citizenship. This effectively destroys his career. Russia heavily restricts social media. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.